Hello viewers, welcome to my orchid world. Today's video is going to be a very basic video. Here in this video we will try to differentiate between a root and a spike. Basically we will discuss how roots look like, how spikes look like, and their growth pattern, their point of origin where they grow, and basically how to distinguish between the two clearly. And at the end of the video we will have a clear picture about roots and spikes, and in future we will never be confused whether when we see a protruding part whether it is a root or a spike. So let us begin our journey. Please share this video among your friends so that they too can be educated by this tutorial. Please give it a like if you happen to like the video, and do subscribe to my channel. So let us begin. So how do orchid roots and spikes look like? By their appearance itself we can distinguish between roots and spikes very clearly. Roots, when they are dry, will be white or silvery looking with a nice green tip, which is the growing tip. In case of all types of orchids, roots will be white in color when they are dry. When they are wet, it will be nice fresh green color. So basically it is a distinguishing point. By looking at the roots, the color of the roots, we can distinguish that it is a root. And in case of all types of orchids, roots will be generally long because in nature they grow high up in the trees, and they use their roots to grab to the trees where they grow, and hence they have to elongate their roots to hold on to the branches. So basically orchid roots are very long. And in case of spikes will be somewhat fresh green in color when they first grow, and they will have somewhat pointy appearance. The point will be, the tip of the spike will be pointed, whereas in case of roots, tip will be rounded. There is no pointed part in roots, and this is one clear distinguishing point between roots and spikes. And also when spikes grow, when they become matured and they grow, they change color. The green color may not remain on the spikes. Dendrobiums and vandas have long green colored spikes when they grow, but phalaenopsis orchids may turn color in their spike. They may become either reddish or deep green. And also roots, when they start growing, the tip may not be green, they may be reddish, and eventually when they grow, when they mature, the root tip will become green in color. One very important point regarding roots is that roots will always keep growing during summer season as well as winter season. Root tips will always grow whether it's a summer or the winter season. During the summer season, it is the growing period of all orchids. So during this time they will grow roots, they will grow leaves, and preferably some species, some hybrids will grow spikes. And one very important point that you can keep in mind regarding roots is that they will always grow even in winter also, bearing a few species that take a winter rest. They do not grow roots that much. You will not see any noticeable changes in the root length, but otherwise most of the orchids will keep growing roots in both summer and winter. The time of producing spikes in case of vandas is late winter. When winter is receding, that time vandas will produce spikes, and since vandas are generally spring bloomers, they produce spikes in late winter. Hybrid dendrobium orchids generally produce spikes during summer season. During the summer season they grow with leaves, roots and kikis, and also they produce spikes. Depending on the care you give, they may produce spikes twice a year. And in case of species Dendrobium orchids, spikes are generally produced in early winter. All through winter they grow, and during late winter, when winter is about to end, they start blooming. The spikes start blooming. And in case of hybrids and species, this is one difference in case of Dendrobium orchids. Phalaenopsis orchids generally produce spikes when temperature starts cooling down, and there is a distinct difference between day temperature and night temperatures of at least 10 degrees. Summer bloomer orchids like novelty hybrids or the primary hybrids generally produce spikes during summer. Another distinguishing point between roots and spikes is their location of growth from on an orchid. Roots, you will always see that they are generally produced at the base of the orchid. In case of vandas, in case of phalaenopsis orchids, you will always see, and in case of sympodial orchids like dendrobiums and cattleyas also, you will always see that roots will always grow at the base of the pseudobulbs from the rhizome in case of sympodial orchids. And in case of phalaenopsis orchids, roots may grow from leaf joints as well, and that is absolutely normal. In case of vanda orchids also, roots will grow from the body of the orchid, sometimes high up near the crown, and spikes will usually form from the leaf joints on the sideways. The leaf joint where the leaf has started growing, that is the joint, and there spikes will form. Spikes will never form on the body of the orchid. Say if you consider this part as the front which is facing you, this is the front part, so roots will grow from the body, and spikes will grow from the leaf joints, from the sideways. Leaves are on the sideways. If you take this direction as your front, sometimes what happens, from a leaf joint you will see both a spike and a root growing, which is absolutely normal. The root is growing and it will eventually come out from under the leaf and will start growing outside of the leaf. So basically this can happen. And in case of sympodial orchids, roots will generally grow from the base of the orchid. And in case of monopodial orchids like phalaenopsis and vandas, roots will grow from body of the orchid, and it can grow high up in the body of the orchid near the crown. And in case of sympodial orchids, it will always grow at the base of the orchid. Spikes on the other hand will grow from leaf joints. Basically for all types of orchids, they can grow from the crown. For dendrobium orchids, the crown means where the new leaf starts growing, that is the crown. And dendrobium orchids will produce spikes from the canes when it matures, from the crown of the orchid, and it may produce spikes from leaf joints as well. Vandas usually produce spikes from leaf joints. They rarely produce spikes from the crown of the vanda orchid. And in case of phalaenopsis orchids, in rare conditions, it may produce a spike from the crown, and in that case the crown may stop producing new leaves and it may produce a kiki for further growth. A very clear point of difference between roots and spikes is that roots will always grow downward from the base of the orchid. It will always grow towards the media, and spikes will always grow upward, in a upward direction. Spikes will always point upward. You will not see spikes pointing downward, having a downward direction. And eventually when the spikes elongate, they may bend over, but they will not, the direction of growth will always be upward, and the direction of growth of roots will always be downward. They may turn, but they will eventually go down. So by now you must have got a clear picture about distinguishing between roots and spikes. Now you must have got a good idea how spikes look like, how roots look like, their growth pattern, and how to clearly distinguish whether it is a root or a spike. Thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, please give it a like. Please do share this video among your friends so that we can become a big orchid growing community, and do subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.